Oh, another glorious day back here in the Nature Center. Endless possibilities, things to do. It appears James has found one of those endless possibilities. What, should I even ask, what are you doing, James?
Hey! Oh boy. I'm getting this guy cleaned up.
What the heck is that, James?
Well, Jacob, this is one of North America's largest native ungulates.
Is it now?
It is. Sure is. And we used to find these in Wisconsin all the time. It's an elk.
Oh, it's an elk.
See here. ELK.
You're right, actually. I do remember hearing things about, elk used to roam the prairies, and this elk here, it kind of reminds me of some deer I had just seen outside. Like the white-tailed.
The white-tailed deer.
Yeah, the white-tailed deer.
That's another native ungulate in Wisconsin here. You think they're out there now?
I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. We could go. I guess.
Gotta go find out.
Okay, let's go.
Oh God.
You've kind of led me a little bit away from the nature center here. You sure? You said we were gonna find some deer, maybe some deer tracks. Do you think?
Oh, I know where some are now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're going in the right direction, don't worry.
Okay. These here?
Yeah. You think that deer came out from underneath the deck and crawled up that tree?
I have a sneaking suspicion, James. That is not what happened. It's probably a squirrel.
Oh, yeah, squirrels. Okay.
Yeah.
We're looking for deer.
Deer. To our dismay, we did not actually find any deer tracks. We thought we might have, but with the fresh snowfall, it looks like most animals are still kind of hunkered down and not much activity has gone on. James found this.
Got some nice deer skulls. There's a whitetail here, and you can see part of its antler is eroded or been chewed off by something. But one thing you can notice here too is the dentition, and these teeth have all these little grindy points, and that's well suited for herbivory. And so they'll chew on plants, and even pieces of bark when foraging is really difficult in the winter. They'll eat stuff like bark and twigs, and they use these teeth to kind of grind the food up in their mouth and digest the nutrients from it.
All right, now you can come on and follow me on over this way. We're gonna head back to this elk here. Now, when we think about this elk, this actually, in pre-settlement times, was the main ungulate that was here native to Wisconsin. There were way more elk than there were white-tailed deer. And now it's completely the opposite. There are only a few small herds of reintroduced elk up in the northern part of Wisconsin. But when we think about what the habitat, what the environment used to be, it used to be largely tall grass prairie, especially down here in the driftless area. And let me tell you, these elk, they absolutely love that tall grass prairie. But the deer, on the other hand, don't really. They prefer woody, kind of forest edges. Think like a farm field with a nice big chunk of wood. Some woods back there where they can go and hide, seek refuge during the day, and then come out in the morning and the evening. However, these elk, they really prefer those wide open spaces. More of a prairie animal, where we can think of the deer, a little bit smaller, as a forest animal. Okay, come here, come on. Let's move in a little bit closer. Now, as we see here, this is the animal that, is the topic of the day. This is the white-tailed deer, Otocoilus virginianus. And when we look at this, this is their... Now, we didn't get a real good look at any of the prints outside because it snowed a little bit too much and we just couldn't find any. But this is what their foot looks like. It has the kind of hooves on there, and they have the two kind of toes that come down, and they create that nice little kind of almost arrowhead kind of shape in their, their little footprints that go down in the snow. And then maybe if you're walking around outside too, you'll find some of the deer's droppings, and they'll usually appear in these little tiny pellets. Not unlike a rabbit's, just more of them and a little bit more sizable, but always in the round pellets. Now, as we think about a deer and their general body shape, you know, they have a pretty large general kind of abdomen, kind of core body size. However, they have these really long, really slender legs that allow them to move extremely fast, upwards of 30 miles an hour, and they can jump incredibly high, but also it allows them to move through deep snow with ease. Instead of using, you know, like a snowshoe tactic where they will almost float on the snow, they sink right into the snow. But because they have those long, strong, slender legs, they can just, you know, cruise right through that snow, push through it like it's nothing. I think James is kind of demonstrating that here. Now, if you look here, James has most of his body up top and has these long, slender, strong arms and legs, just like a deer, right, James?
Yep.
And as you can see here, if there was, you know, like 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow, he'd move right through it. I must say, James does not have the exact body dimensions of a deer, thankfully. But I think it gives a kind of a good representation as to how the deer will move through their ecosystem and really how they can outcompete any other predators, like mainly out here coyotes, or maybe even on occasion a mountain lion, and they will more often than not successfully get away from their predators.
I gotta say, I was almost there with that deer walking, but boy, is that neat. Thanks again for joining us for another Wild Life Wednesday. Tune in next week, see what kind of crazy adventures Jacob and I get into. But until then,
you know, make sure you get outside, make sure you enjoy what nature has to offer you in your local area, whether that's a walk around the block or, you know, maybe a hike to your local park. And of course,
stay classy, viewers.
Stay classy, viewers.